All right, welcome in. It is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. That's where you find Johnston RV Center. I-65, 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor here. I'm Ryan Brown. Welcome in, boys. Jimmy D, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I love hearing that Johnston RV name every morning when we start this on Saturday, because it means we got great football coming up. And I think back to when we've seen, Nick Johnston and those guys at Talladega and NCAA tournaments and Alabama football games. It's just a lot of good sporting events, and we got another great Saturday ahead of us right here.
We do. Lance, did you watch any? I know there's a reason I asked this. Did you watch any of Michigan State Purdue last night? I didn't know if you had
I had it on one of the side TVs. So, I was glancing up here and there. The only game we had was we were on the wrong side of UNLV and San Jose State. Felt really good about it through three quarters. And San Jose got closed out on a 14-0 run by UNLV and ended up not getting home on that number. But I did have it on.
I just watched Purdue, and it's hard to figure out why they're as bad as they are. Like Hudson Card was, he's an okay quarterback. He's not great. Yeah. He's okay, and they've got good receivers. They got those two tall receivers. I was watching Purdue. I haven't watched a lot of Purdue this year, but I was watching them last night. I'm like, how is this a one-win team?
Yeah, and they've lost, I think, 5 or 6 now by 35 plus. And, that's the first team to do that since pre-Dion Colorado in 2022. But, yeah, they're absolutely awful. It's one of the reasons I stayed away. There was just so much heavy money all over the favorite there. And, I do think Michigan State's getting a little bit better. But, yeah, Purdue is awful.
Yeah, just a random question. Fox 6 for that one, Dunaway. I bet the news people at Fox 6 love that. They don't get to do their 10 o'clock news because of Purdue and Michigan State.
Listen, I know I the old TV guy here. I sometimes I think take things a little too seriously. Can we get all of LT's head in this picture here? You're like 18 sizes too big for me. Is it just my screen? Can we get the top of your head a little bit? I'm getting all face.
Noticed.
There we go. There we go.
We see Lance's next round hat. It's a good looking hat, Lance.
when he sets up straight, I'll lose them all in my view over here. I'm where'd Lance go? It's like those ESPN logos they sometimes use on the graphics where you only get like part of the script A and part of the interlocking AU that oversizes. I'm excited about today. We were talking about this on Friday's show that we could have a handful of groundbreaking upsets today. It could change the whole playoff perception if some things fall just right today.
Well, we ran through it. We just listed some of the teams that if they pull upsets, it affects the college football playoff. Heck, let's just go ahead and get started with that then, because the big noon kick is one of those games. Indiana is at Ohio State. I don't think you've got any 11 o'clock games. Am I right, Lance? So you had no play on this one.
No, I've got one 11 o'clock game.
Okay.
But it is not that one. I stayed away from that game, but I do have one 11 o'clock game. By the way, I don't think that this game, Indiana, Ohio State, the only way it affects really, look, obviously seeding and things like that and who plays in the Big Ten championship game. But the only, massive implication would be Indiana getting walked off the field and then being 11-1 and getting knocked out of the college football playoff.
Yeah, I agree with Lance. Of all the games today, I don't think this one has a playoff implication at all.
It's got to.
It changes seeding.
Yeah,
Who's in the Big Ten championship game, but it doesn't. I got it red marked on our TV schedule here, Brown, but both these teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, there are two 11 o'clock games which we can get to. That if two certain teams lost in these games, they would be out of the college football playoff. But I don't think, unless Indiana gets beat by 35 plus, I don't think they are out of the college football playoff.
That's the next two games we're getting to. But let's talk about this one just real quick, the game itself, where Ohio State's a 10.5-point favorite. 52.5 is your total for the big noon kick. You've been Mr. Indiana, Lance. You've been the biggest Hoosier in Alabama. Does it carry over to today? Do they have a shot in this one?
I think they do. Now, on the other side, I think this is one of those situations where if Ryan Day could run it up, I think he would. I think they would love to prove a point. At the same time, you think there's any chance the Big Ten's like, hey, let's not run it up on this team. We want to make sure we get 4 teams in the college football playoff.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And you really wonder if officiating would be on the side of Indiana. Ohio State's one of the least penalized teams in all of college football. And, we've talked about this Seth McLaughlin injury. And now when you're missing your left tackle and your starting center and you're going against a defense that attacks the quarterback, 10th nationally in sacks, Indiana is so balanced. They've got a number 7 scoring defense nationally, number 3 scoring offense. And they've got a quarterback that has got a ton of reps. I mean, he's a 5-year starter in Curtis Rourke. So I don't think the moment's going to be too big. This will be a crazy atmosphere. It will be the most intense atmosphere they've been in. But the good news for them, and we've talked about this a lot, it's an early game. And I do think that is a advantage to the visiting team. So I think Indiana hangs around. I think there's a reason this thing peaked at 13.5 and it's down to 10.5. And I think this is going to be a 1-possession game. And I could be completely wrong, but we'll see.
And I only think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ohio State's only had a hard time running the football really on Nebraska, right? Everyone else, even in the loss to Oregon, they did okay running the football. I think that's crucial for them because I still don't trust Will Howard in clutch moments. They just haven't had a lot of big games. And that Oregon game was a classic. It's a good loss for them. But what they did against Nebraska, I think you guys brought it up on the show this week to me when I was like, it feels just like Ohio State's so good. And you were like, remember Nebraska. And Indiana's better than Nebraska. So I'm with LT. I'm down for a good game here.
There are 2 more games, as Lance hinted at, that would affect the college football playoff. One of those, Jack State, Sam Houston. Is that one of the ones you were talking about? Oh, okay,
no.
Okay. All right.
Are you not gonna make it over to America's first field?
I'd love to. I'd love to go say it's a big game for Jack State, getting in the Conference USA Championship if they can win this one. But I got to stay home and watch all of them. Love my Gamecocks. Wish them the best, but I'm going to be here. I'll keep up with CBS Sports Network at 11.
There is, and I know you're going to get to both of these games. There is one sneaky game that if you had, a semi upset here, this team, I guess, would be out.
It's Ole Miss, Florida. I mean, if
that's not the
game, yeah.
That's not. Is that no? You're talking about Wake and Miami, right?
No. Miami can't lose that game.
I wouldn't think so.
I'm talking SMU at Virginia.
Yep, I've got it. Well, let's do that one. SMU's an 11-point favorite at Virginia, 55.5, 11 a.m. ESPN2. And to your point, Lance, if SMU loses, it's extremely good news for Dabo Swinney and Clemson.
Yeah, and this Virginia team is just good enough that on the right day they could beat a team like SMU. I mean, they're sitting at 5-5, and Tony Elliott's done a pretty good job with this squad. And I don't know, they're so blah. I've watched them a couple of times; they kind of rock you to sleep. But this is one of those games where you'll get a sleepy atmosphere in Charlottesville, and SMU's got everything in front of them. I don't know. I mean, they've only got the one loss right now, and it's out of conference to BYU. Yeah. So what does happen if they lose this game?
Yeah, I see, Brand. I thought the scenario is Clemson's in with any loss from Miami, but SMU can take a loss, and they're still in the ACC championship game.
Well, my point was it's good news for Clemson because SMU still has one more conference game after that. So in theory, they could lose too. They could also lose to Cal, which is not likely they'll lose both those, but that is another path in for Clemson. The easier path to your point, though, Dunaway, is Miami taking a loss if Miami loses to Syracuse.
But realistically, if you're a Tennessee fan, any of these borderline 2-loss teams, and you're hoping to get an at-large, I don't think it matters because I think we're all in agreement the ACC is a 1-bid league anyway.
That's right. That's why I think Indiana, Ohio State is no playoff implications, just unseating because both of those are in, and SMU, Virginia, Wake Forest, Miami. We're just waiting for one ACC championship team. If you're Tennessee, you're focused on Gainesville, Florida, and you're chomping Gator, man. You're like, man, if Florida could beat Ole Miss, we take Ole Miss's spot moving forward in the selection process from the Southeastern Conference.
Speaking of, Ole Miss is at Florida, 13-point favorite, 55.5 is the total. Dunaway, 11 a.m. ABC game. Trey Harris is going to go today, according to Pete Thelma, but is going to be limited. It's almost like a pitch count for the guy that was the nation's leading receiver when he got this injury.
I would tell you that they've been fine without him. So anything you get from him on the field draws coverage and makes them more dynamic. This may be the most consistently balanced team in the SEC. Their offense is so high at their best, and their defense is so high at their best. I almost put Ole Miss's defense number one in the SEC the way they're playing lately, Lance, when you factor in the pressure they're able to put on the quarterback.
Yeah, and then that's the key. And I do think it's interesting. And back to the luxury of having Trey Harris back. I mean, you've still got the fourth best scoring offense in all of college football at almost 41 points per game, but they do lead the nation in sacks, and that's my fear. And I think that's one of the reasons this thing has exploded up to Ole Miss minus 13. It would be typical Lane Kiffin for him to lose a game like this, because I just can't even imagine the Ole Miss fans. This would almost be Florida returning the favor. We remember Ole Miss shocking Florida when it was the and you guys were in Austin, or excuse me, Athens that day. For the blackout with oh my gosh, with Georgia hosting Alabama, when Tim Tebow and Florida got upset by that Ole Miss team. But I just think Ole Miss's ability to get after the quarterback with DJ Lagway, I think they could rattle him early. I mean, they're averaging almost 5 sacks per game, which is insane.
Didn't that Florida team go on to win the national championship?
They did,
though, after that Ole Miss loss.
Yeah, beat Alabama in the conference championship game and then won the national championship. I don't know if you remember this moment, Dunaway, but you and I were actually watching that game in a bar. It was that 4th down play. We had to, I think you had to get on set at 42, and we're like, if Florida gets this 4th down, let's get somewhere where we can watch the rest of this drive.
Yep.
And we're like, let's go. So we leave, and Lance, this is no joke. We're over on the, I don't know what they call the area, where all the restaurants at Georgia are, just off the campus. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the music venues and bars and all that. When Ole Miss stopped Florida, you could hear the cheer from the Georgia quad. I mean, it was almost like a stadium cheer. It was wild.
Yeah, well, that was a day, and Dunaway, I'll let you get to your point, your story, but that was back, when you had a loss, the BCS days, where you thought you were pretty much done. I heard some guys on some national show talking about, you used to be able to absorb 1 or 2 losses, and I was thinking you really didn't. We never had a 2-loss team get into a 14 playoff.
Yeah, you always thought 1 loss. Your season was done unless you got a lot of help. You scoreboard watched the rest of the year. And to Brown's point, it was like Georgia had scored a touchdown over in the stadium, the reaction there. That's the old 60 bars in 6 blocks, Brownie. That's the neighborhood we were walking through.
There it is. Fun little area right there.
Yeah, that was the night I threw the Georgia guy's hat off the top of the staircase live on television.
Rob
probably should have got my ass beat.
Rob wants something on Arizona State BYU that's coming up in our 2:30 games. How about this? Jody asked if I saw that Cat Williams bought some of the Fort McClellan property. Did you buy over in Anniston? Did y'all see that story?
Yeah, I did see that, because Zach, one of our listeners, our daily listeners, sent me a story for trash on that. So it's pretty interesting.
Anyway, $1.5 million. Yes, $1.5 million. He bought some of the old barracks over there at Fort McClellan.
He's not a big Diddy fan, I'll tell you that.
He's a funny dude. I love Cat Williams.
I don't know how many people are big Diddy fans. I know Ellen DeGeneres was a big Diddy fan, and I read yesterday that she has officially left the country. God bless. See ya.
Yep. Moving to England. Nobody likes her anymore. She got canceled.
We won't miss her.
She went from one of the most likable people on the planet to nobody likes her. She had to leave her own country. It's pretty wild.
She was a great interviewer back in the day. Yeah. I give her credit, though. We've had so many people bitch and complain. If this person gets elected, I'm gone. I've never seen somebody actually do it, but she did it.
Yep.
She had the reputation of being really nice on the air and a mean bully off the air behind the scenes, correct?
Correct. Let's go to the 2:30 window. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur is where you find Johnston RV Center, and always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. They've got those travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheel savings of starting at $45,000, $45,000 and more. RV warranty forever. Make sure you got a lifetime warranty on anything that is new or qualifying pre-owned. It's at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com.
Hey,
Bama and Auburn play night games, Dunaway, so Champy's is a great place to get that tailgate.
That's right. Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster opens up at 11. A little before that, call that order in or go to champyschicken.com, pick it up and take it down to Jordan-Hare Stadium. One last time for a home game there with the tailgate and for the Iron Bowl next week. Coming off of all the turkey on Thursday for Saturday, make it the hand-cut chicken fingers, the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, and all the great food right there at Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com.
All right, let's go to the 2:30 window. The CBS game is going to be Minnesota and Penn State. Lance, this is your upset alert. Penn State an 11.5-point favorite, total of 45 as they go on the road to the Twin Cities to take on Minnesota. Upset alert on Tuesday. How do you feel on Saturday?
I did not play it.
Okay, so not as good as you felt on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was one of my last games I scratched. I still, if I had to play it, I would play Minnesota. I remember, again, these are just weird pop-up memories. 2019 Alabama LSU, walking around the quad and sitting in different tailgates, watching Minnesota upset Penn State. That was a really good 2019 Minnesota team. It's the only time PJ Fleck has hosted Minnesota, and they stormed the field. Look, this is the 12th scoring defense in all of football, giving up less than 18 points per game. They will make this game ugly. If Max Brosmer doesn't make mistakes at the quarterback position, I think Darius Taylor can run it on Penn State. I think it's too many points. It's right at 11.5 now, total of 45. I think it plays under the total, and I think Penn State hangs with them. And this will be another one of those games where I'll be pulling for a random Big Ten team.
Yeah, I'll tell you the key stat to watch here will be Drew Aller interceptions because Minnesota is good at turning over the opposing team. Sneaky good secondary tradition ever since my Buccaneers. I think Winfield's from Minnesota, right? My big DB with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since him, they've continued to put NFL quality defensive backs out. So I like the Gophers secondary against Drew Aller passing the football today. If you go over if you get a couple interceptions, that can flip the game in Minnesota's favor.
I'll ask you both. I'll start with you, Dunaway. Good news for Tennessee fans. If Minnesota wins this game, is Penn State out?
That would be their second loss?
Yep.
Nope, they won't be out.
Oh, they're done.
No.
Done.
I agree with Lance. I think they're out.
There is no way, and I don't care how much pull the Big Ten has. If Minnesota, a 6-4 Minnesota beats Penn State, and Penn State, when you look at the resume is worse than Texas's resume.
Yeah, they got nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, their best win would be Illinois. Lance, am I right about that?
Yeah, I think it is Illinois or USC.
Or USC, however you look at that. Yeah. All right. So Dunaway, you say in, Lance, you say out.
I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, as long as nobody in the Big Ten gets their third loss, those four teams are in the playoffs. Y'all can book it. Y'all can book it.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't know how with a straight face. I mean, you be part of the committee. You give me an argument for Penn State.
There's not one. There will not be one.
They're in the Big Ten. I mean, that's your argument, right, Jim? They're in the Big Ten.
They will create it. They'll say eye test or game control or all the stuff we don't understand.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, more than likely they win this game. Fingers crossed they don't, because they don't deserve to be in a college football playoff. They're not a good team. They've got one player that dominates, and that's Tyler Warren. And I think PJ Fleck and I think the staff is good enough to, hey, look, you see, what is he, number 42, 45? They've just got to stop that guy. I mean,
you've even seen Cignetti this week take shots at Georgia and Alabama playing FCS schools. And Cignetti knows the game. I mean, he was in the SEC, so he knows the scheduling and the way it is. And he says, strength of schedule, everyone's already talking about that. Alabama just played Mercer. Georgia just played Chattanooga. By the way, they didn't play Chattanooga. But his point was that Georgia just is about to play somebody that's not good. They put that out as a headline, as a talking point on all these national shows. And then, when you dive into it, Alabama's played, since they played Wisconsin out of that league, ranked team after ranked team all the way until you play Mercer. And you go back and you look at what the Big Ten or other conferences do. You get to that Mercer game and everyone uses that as that's the flagpole they stick into the ground and say, look, Alabama just played Mercer. Why are we talking such strength of schedule? Well, who the hell they played the 8 games before that?
Yeah.
And who did you play the 8 games before that?
Well, in terms of Penn State, I tell you what I'm tired of seeing and hearing is all the photos of snow at Notre Dame and at State College or wherever. Oh, I can't wait to get the SEC up here to play in this. Y'all don't even want to play in it. You guys make agreements not to play night games this time of year. Don't act like the SEC's the only one that don't want to play in it.
Desmond just did it on game day.
I know.
Here's what I love when he was looking at the bracket. Alabama's got to go play in this weather at Notre Dame, and so-and-so would have to go to Georgia, have to go to Happy Valley, and Ole Miss would have to go here. And I was like, it's like you got the best athletes in the world playing against some good athletes in the world. They're on the same conditions. I'm still going to go with the best athletes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you think with all our technology, and we've got, we were talking about robots calling balls and strikes yesterday. that we'll have the technology where you can mute certain personalities because Desmond would be on mute. He's not as bad as Joey Galloway.
So like,
but he would be on mute nonstop.
You would probably mute McAfee too. You don't like him either. So like Herb Street would talk, Saban would talk, and then it goes quiet for 45 seconds, and then Reese responds. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a radio edit off of a song that used to have curse words in it.
Yeah.
Would just drop off.
That's an interesting invention, Lance. I bet people would sign up for that.
Yeah. And then you know what would happen, right? During the show, Lance would only hear you, Brown, and Tyler. And that would be it. He'd never hear any parts of the show.
As Jim said, Lance.
Yeah, you'd have to say he wants you to do mortgage right now.
All right. We were asked for BYU Arizona State Dunaway. Arizona State a 3.5-point home favorite over BYU. Total of 49.5, 2:30 ESPN game. I mean, this is a big college football playoff game because it's a massive Big 12 conference championship game.
Yeah, you can sit here and name coach after coach after coach who's done a great job this year. Deion Sanders. Yep. Hell, I'll throw Kalen DeBoer in to get this team back to where they are. Billy Napier to salvage the day down there. I mean, obviously Kurt Signetti. I mean, you go through the list, and if you don't mention Kenny Dillingham down in Tempe, Arizona, you're not paying attention. That was a decimated program after what Herm Edwards and his assistant coaching staff did in the violations. And this team was picked 16th out of 16th in the Big 12, and they're 8-2 and can work their way into the Big 12 championship game where they win today. Amazing coaching job by this guy. And LT's good with age. Feels like he's 34, 35 years old. He's going to be doing this a long time.
I don't know what the age is.
For Dillingham?
Seems like he's young.
I think he's 34.
I'll check. What do you think about the game? I'll check what is it?
Look, I think Arizona State is going to win this game. I mean, their last top 20 win was a long time ago, 2019, over Oregon, way back in the day. He's done a tremendous job, and it's getting overshadowed because of what Deion's doing in Colorado. But I don't want to say Arizona State was in the same spot as Colorado, but they were in a bad state when Herm Edwards left them.
How old did you say he was, Lance?
34.
Kenny Dillingham, age 34.
Yeah. Hey, by
the way, pretty crazy. Lance is so good at that.
Who's the quarterback? Is it Leavitt? Sam Leavitt?
Yeah, Sam Leavitt.
Yeah, done an amazing job developing this guy, and that's what Dillingham does. He, worked with Bo Nix at Oregon before he came and took this job and sort of flipped Bo around. And then that Sun Devil defense with 3 turnovers last week in their win. I like this Arizona State team.
All right, let's go to Lance. You got plays on these next 2 games. One of them in the SEC. Texas just continues to plod along, and they're it's weird for as high as they're ranked, but they're a little bit under the radar because they just play so many games that don't seem like they matter. This one matters, but I don't know if they can lose it. Kentucky is at Texas. Texas, a 20-point favorite at MyBookie.ag this morning. Total of 47.5. 2:30 ABC. I mean, I just feel like this is another Texas game, Lance, I don't have to pay attention to.
I brought this point up earlier this week when everybody's talking about, look, it looks like Elko's focused on Texas, not focused on Auburn. We haven't talked about Sark being focused possibly on Texas A&M and not Kentucky. I don't think it matters. Kentucky was able to snap out of a 4-game losing streak last week at home against Murray State. This is not a good Kentucky team at all. I think they get run off the field in this spot. Texas, what they've done to their opponents in the first half, basically putting them to sleep. They've shut out their past 3 opponents in the first half, including that high-powered Arkansas offense where they ultimately held them to 10 points last week. I just don't think Kentucky can play catch-up football. I don't think Vanderbilt is good enough. And this Texas team, Brown, you brought it up yesterday, they turn you over. So Ewers plays clean. They haven't really hit their stride. I don't think they've had that really massive, complete game, maybe a couple of weeks ago against Florida. But I like Texas in this spot.
Yeah, Jahdae Barron had such a great game last week. He was all over the place for Texas, and that team had 6 sacks and forced a lot more pressure. To your point, Brown, it does look like Texas always is just doing enough to get by. But I think I got this right, that 7 of their games this year have been 19 or more point wins. So inevitably, what looks like a close game, and by the time we get to the end of the game, it's a 19 or more point win for this Texas team. I heard them or saw them described this week as not flashy. And that's when you think of Sark and his offense, I think of flashy, but that's exactly right. Quinn Ewers is I mean, you just sort of pencil him in from somewhere between 175 and 275 yards. He's not going to go out and throw for 400. And they just do everything almost like dotting I's and crossing T's, and that can be very dangerous when you get to November, December games.
Yeah, I mean, who does Ewers remind you guys of? Because when and I brought this up way too many times this week, but when I was on with Chip and Zay, one of their viewers asked me, what would it be like if Ewers went to the Rams randomly? And I think Ewers is a really good quarterback. I don't know how elite he is. I mean, is he kind of an AJ McCarron, like a really good quarterback?
Yeah, I can see that.
See, I was going to say he reminded me of Peyton Manning in college before. I mean, Manning got to a different level, I think, in the NFL, but in college, Peyton Manning, he just got the ball to the really good people around him and always did the right thing. And that's probably too big of a compliment, but I watched Peyton Manning in college and I was like, hey, he's really, really good.
You're just getting sucked into the old, just say the uncle of his backup. That's what you always do, right?
Yeah, no, I plotting white guy. I don't know. Peyton Manning obviously became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in the NFL, but in college, I always thought he was really, really good. AJ McCarron probably a better comparison.
Hey, so this number did dip to 18.5 overnight. So I'm just wondering if there was, I don't know, some interesting money that came in overnight.
Oh no. Yeah, back up to
Greg. Yes, I am watching Game Day just up top, just checking out something.
Yeah, Greg wanted to know, does he need to come look at Lance's roof?
He's more than welcome to at any point. I think I've got one of those 50-year roofs though.
Oh yeah.
But it looks like it's got a little wear on it. I think the house is now 17 years old. So hey, if we can find some hail damage, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Who I've got coming over today is Gray's tree. We've had a tree in my backyard. I've got, I don't know how many trees in my backyard, at the back end of my lot, tons of them. And there's one that has just progressively been doing this just over the years, continues to lean and lean and lean. So it became apparent I was going to have to do something. And yesterday, Jennifer was walking by the window and she says, oh my gosh, that tree fell. And it just snapped and it's laying over on my fence and some of it fell down on my neighbor's driveway. So our boys from Gray's will be over here this afternoon, guys. They're not just a sponsor. We use them.
You talked to our man, John Mark?
I talked to John Mark. He's got a crew on the way, man. He jumped right to it. I appreciate it.
Do a great job.
They do. Hey, compliment for you, Dunaway from Pritch Law. He says your hat's fire. That's our boys Trip and the gang.
Yeah, this is Trip gave this to me. I forget which show we were doing over there. It was a specialty show, and he walked out and he says, dude, seriously, you're too old to be in here. Will you put the hat on? It makes you look younger. And I was like, thanks, Trip. And then he was like, here's a rumble shot. And I said, thanks, Trip. So that's
Trip knows.
That's how I got this hat.
He's got your look. And, Trip and I, one of our first freshman classes, we met in the fall of 1990. His nickname was Squirrel. He had a mullet back then.
Yeah. What if Trip had
I was like, Trip, so you're saying that I'm hurting your business? He's like, yes, put that on.
What if he said, Dunaway, here's an Uber?
Yeah. That was later. When it got to be 10 o'clock, he was like, hey, time for you to go.
Hey, Brand, this will be an interesting storyline if true. Brandon says, a Texas Insider says that Quinn got a 3rd-round grade. What is his eligibility? He's got eligibility left, right?
Oh, yeah. And look, and we've talked about NIL, and we've been really talking about that a lot this week, and how you don't see guys with high-profile deals at all. Like, everything's kind of internalized, but he is one of the few that's got the deal with Fansville. So, hell, if he can come back and be Texas's quarterback, that's what gets interesting is what happens with Arch Manning.
That's why that was so interesting, Dunaway. The kid you just kind of in a disconnected way mentioned, Arch Manning standing over there on that sideline. How much longer will he wait?
Yeah, I would venture at that point it would be Arch to quarterback Texas, Quinn Ewers to take money, say, from an LSU and move on.
Ooh, he'd be a hot property in the portal.
Oh, yeah.
Either one of them would be.
Yeah. I mean, look, sight unseen, if Jalen Milroe decides to go to the NFL after this season, just sticking in state. Look, I know Ty Simpson is a guy that a lot of Alabama fans pull for and want to see ultimately on the field. But, I mean, I've seen Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's a $2 or $3 million quarterback.
5-star quarterback Keelan Russell.
Yeah, somebody Dunaway back in the chat. Did you see this earlier? I
don't have my glasses on, so no.
Oh, okay.
I see the chat. It's a bunch of blurry words to me right here.
Here it is. Brandon. Oh, same guy. Brandon said he was at the Duncanville game last night. Saw Keelan Russell. Said he is fantastic. So there you go. There's
Duncanville, Texas, by the way.
Yeah, Duncanville, Texas. One of our viewers out there in Texas. Thank you for watching out in Texas. Glad you got to go catch some of that Texas high school football. Congrats to Dunaway's alma mater back in the state championship game yet again.
Yeah, beat Enterprise last night. Thompson rolls on.
Yeah, good job out of them. All right,
they're one of the best D1 schools in the state every year.
That's right. Nobody recruits better than Thompson. Another 2:30 game that has implications in the Big 12. It's a big Big 12. The 2:30 window is a heck of a window in the Big 12. Colorado is on the road at Kansas. Now, this game is in Arrowhead, or whatever they call it now, GHEA Stadium, whatever it is. I'll always call it Arrowhead. This is an interesting game, Dunaway. A month ago, you probably don't bat an eye at this one, but the way Kansas has played of late, Colorado's only a 2.5-point favorite. Total of 59.5 for the 2:30 Fox kick.
Yeah, our buddy Todd Furman told us to play Kansas first half on this one if you were going to play Kansas at all, because he could see Colorado pulling away in the second half. A lot's happened this week. Deion Sanders has had to answer a lot of questions about his future. Travis Hunter, who's become unless he gets hurt, the guy that's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And he announced this week, and to nobody's surprise, that he will declare for the NFL draft after this year, even though he's got eligibility left. So he'll be off to the NFL. But there's a lot going on with this Colorado team. Now, can they button up and go back to work with expectations now of being possibly the team that makes the college football playoffs? And here comes Kansas. Am I right about this? In consecutive weeks, they have knocked out Iowa State from being Big 12 champions, BYU from possibly being Big 12 champions, and they could do it again 3 games in a row. Wow.
Yeah, and they've done it differently. Like, I think Kansas has finally peaked. And I know our man Todd Furman said this yesterday. He didn't like that he had a ticket on Kansas, didn't like how they ultimately won that game. I kind of did, because it showed me they can win with defense. And when you look at this Colorado team, and that's another thing, and I've talked about this with Ohio State this week, when you think Buckeyes, you think offense. When you think Colorado, you think offense. And I understand, but Colorado's defense is so improved by more than 100 yards per game. They're 6th nationally in sacks. But when you look at this Kansas offensive line, they've only given up 9 sacks in 10 games. So I think Jalen Daniels is going to have a little opportunity, and especially with the balance on offense with Devin Neal. And look, if you're watching, listening, I've got 9 plays today. I've got a couple of guys that just hit me up for, give me your best play of the day or your best day play. My best day play is Kansas plus 2.5. Kansas wins this game outright.
Yeah, I will tell you the key here, Brown, is going to be tackling for Colorado. Their defense has improved. A lot of that has been pressuring the quarterback, but Jalen Daniels running the football. Last week, they couldn't get him to the ground on the first contact. His yards after contact was tremendous, and that's where the key will be. If the first guy to Jalen Daniels has got to bring him down, or it'll be easy pickings for Kansas against this Colorado defense.
Reminder, all the point spreads we give you came this morning from MyBookie.ag. Don't forget code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. They're helping you in the casino right now. A 300% deposit bonus in the casino. 300% at MyBookie.ag. Code NEXTROUND to use that. And get 50 free spins as well. So we'll be in the casino right there at MyBookie.ag with a 300% deposit.
Yeah, I jumped on actually and did a little blackjack this morning while I was waiting on you to send the link. It's really entertaining. I've never done that before.
How'd you do?
I only lost $25.
Oh, for you, that's tough.
How many times did you get face card a 6?
I got face card a lot on the first one, and then the second card was never an ace. Yeah. But it seemed very realistic to me, though. Like it wasn't always big cards for the dealer, and I had to use my head. I didn't have my little card in front of me that I try to memorize before I play in Vegas. I had to sit there in my head. Okay, it's a 9-6 for the dealer. It's gonna have to hit. So I should hold my 13. I was trying to be really good like that, but it got close and I got a little too greedy at the end.
Hey, we love us some Pritch Law. He says, I'm closing in on not having a ball in the bucket this year. Well, your 3 plays, you're going to close it out the right way because you ain't getting a ball there.
Because he's got Texas A&M, Colorado, and Ohio State. Lance does not like that. Wow, Pritch. Come on, buddy. Let's go, man. You got one more week after this one. Don't worry.
Pritch Law, you're telling me truck driver Brett, as we call him, Brett from New Mexico, I think has 5 or 6 balls in the bucket, which remarkable. Is amazing.
Yeah.
at 3-0. And you're telling me, Pritch, you haven't gone 3-0 once? I'll tell you something else. I haven't gone 3-0. I don't think LT or Brown have gone 3-0.
I've gone 3-0.
No, that's right. He's gone 3-0 one time.
I don't know, man. It's been weird because you guys know, and I guess you kind of talked about this before we had the segment yesterday. I've had like really, really good Saturdays. Like
that's right.
A couple of 10-5 Saturdays, a 7-2, some 6-3s, and this pick 3, man. It's been 1-2 almost every week.
One more game before we go to the night slate. EG is going to join us in a little bit. She'll be at Auburn tonight. But one more game, 3:15. The only reason I bring this game up is in SEC championship game participant scenarios, Missouri plays a little bit of a role, especially for Alabama. They are at Mississippi State. They are an 8.5-point favorite, total of 57.5. That is a 3:15 SEC network kick. It is not the only way Alabama makes Atlanta, but it is one of the ways, is Missouri just to get another win. It doesn't matter if it's State or Arkansas to end the year. They just need another win. That is really the only intrigue, Lance, in this game, is if you're an Alabama fan and you want to go to Atlanta, because this otherwise is kind of a yucky game.
Yeah, and this is one of those first-year coaches. We talked about it earlier this week on the show, on the next round, that they've become the most irrelevant program in all of the SEC. I mean, nobody's talking about 2-8 State. This number's jumped up to 9.5 too, because you guys know, as a contrarian, I take a look at this. If there's a certain amount of percentage of public money, it does make me lean one way or the other. All the public money's on Missouri, but I ain't touching Mississippi State. And this thing has gone to 9.5. I think this is a spot that Eli Drinkwitz probably tries to flex and probably tries to get out with a double-digit win. So I think Alabama gets the Missouri win here.
I think so too, LT. My question would be, what are they without an engaged Luther Burden? Because at some point, you hate to say it, and he may be a different kind of athlete, but to me, if I was in his shoes, I start thinking about my next chapter, because our meaningful games are just about over with at Missouri. So is he engaged? Is he the kind of guy that wants to go out there and win for Missouri? Or is he a kind of guy that wants to, sort of bubble wrap me up and let me start thinking about opting out of that bowl game we're going to go to and getting ready for being possibly a first-round draft pick in the NFL? Without Luther Burden, with Brady Cook back, but not 100%, it could get tricky, but I'm with you, LT. Mississippi State's just lost right now.
All right, we'll go to the night slate and wrap this thing up. It is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. That's where you find Johnston RV Center, always online at johnstonrvcenter.com. Great deals right now on their travel trailers, their RVs, their fifth wheels. And again, they love the United States military. We're about to talk Army and Notre Dame. They love the military the way we do on this show. We can never say thank you. There's not anything we could ever do to say thank you enough. But one of the ways they show gratitude towards you is a great discount if you're a veteran or active duty. They're at Johnston RV Center. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com. Also, Jimmy D, Champy's world famous fried chicken.
That's right. The best Southern fried chicken you'll ever taste. And I'll back that up for over a decade. One location right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster for over a decade at Sterling's Place, champyschicken.com, champyschicken.com. And I know some of you write in there like, Dunaway, Champy's is a chain, right? There are restaurants up in the Chattanooga and Huntsville area. Absolutely. But only one of them is owned by Sterling, who really does it a unique way down there. He is a franchise owner, but he puts his own little twist on things. His customer service is tremendous. The feel of the restaurant, the brined overnight chicken, he takes great care to make sure every piece is 100% quality, brined overnight, cooked to order. My wife loves the dark meat there because it's juicy to the bone. It is not easy to cook great chicken that way. It is the best. Check it out. Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
I just saw a commercial run. I don't know if you guys saw. I've never seen this before. Justice Central TV, where they only run Matlock, In the Heat of the Night, and Perry Mason.
My God, how old do you have to be to get that?
Yeah,
it's old.
Well, there are a lot of channels on local TV, like Channel 6 in the Birmingham market, 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4. If you go over the air, the alternate HD stations, 13 has 4 or 5 of them, 42 has a couple of them, and they do have those type channels where it's just all court TV or all laugh is one, LAFF, where it's all old sitcoms like Barney Miller and things like that.
Yeah, that's an old person.
Yeah, I'm just saying because I have one TV, my oldest TV, I have hooked up to an antenna, and it's great quality stuff. So like day games, like the Big Noon Kickoff every week is on my big over-the-air signal from Fox 6. And I always have to remember when I go to the ABC channel, Brown, it's not the first channel I click on. It's not 68.1. Theirs is actually 68.2, and 68.1 is something else.
Let's go to the night slate. Yankee Stadium. I got the flag on today, boys. Got the flag on. Army playing Notre Dame. It is one of your games, Lance. Technically a Notre Dame home game. Total of 45.5 in this. Notre Dame a 2-touchdown favorite over Army. 6 o'clock NBC for this one.
Look, it's been a great story. They're 9-0. Give Jeff Monken a lot of credit. I've said this multiple times. Bryson Daly is one of the best quarterbacks ever seen in this system. But the facts are the facts. And this Notre Dame team knows that they have zero margin of error right now. They've got to close this thing out by beating Army and then beating USC. They haven't lost to the Cadets since 1958. They've won 15 consecutive. Only one of those games has been within 2 touchdowns. There's a reason this thing is 14. And it's out to fast start. Since losing to Northern Illinois, they have outscored teams 195-41 in the first half. So they're almost plus 20 points in the first half. They get Army behind early. Army cannot play catch up. And I think it's going to be a lot of Riley Leonard. It's going to be a lot of Jeremiah Love. And I think Notre Dame wins this game going away.
Come on, Dunaway, do it.
No, I can't do it. Because I would do it if it was 2 years ago before they outlawed the chop block. But they did. They outlawed it, and they had to adjust last year, which is why you saw Army at 6-6. And now they've adjusted. They've gotten used to blocking that scheme that way. But I think that's why you see a few more passes out of this attack now, because the chop block got outlawed a couple of years ago. It's been a great story. I think Notre Dame wins this game. To me, it's about the total. If Army can keep the possessions low, I'd play under here, but I think Notre Dame's the winner.
Yeah, and let's say this because somebody brought it up in the chat, the schedule for Army. They have not faced a top 50 offense, a top 50 defense, and they have only beaten one team with a winning record. Again, not their fault. It's been an incredible story. This would be a massive upset because this would knock Notre Dame out, and this would put Army in the conversation right there with Boise State and maybe Tulane to represent, and maybe EG's incredible prediction back in the preseason that the Group 5 would get 2 in. I mean, Army wins this game and beats Navy later this year and beats Tulane in the 8. I mean, I don't know how you could. If Army wins out, they've got to be in the college football playoff.
We laughed EG off the show. We laughed her off the show. EG.
You did.
Yep, we did. EG's got a fun day ahead of her. Emily Grace McWhorter joins us now. She will wrap the night with Auburn and Texas A&M. More on that in a moment. But you are not. That's not Jordan Hare behind you, EG. No, you're not in Auburn.
This is Paulson Stadium. I'm in Statesboro, Georgia, to cover the last home game inside of Hanner Fieldhouse, where my dad played for men's basketball. So I've got my game notes against West Georgia, and we're about to head over there. It's a noon game, so it works out. Time is working in my favor, and I will arrive in Auburn hopefully about 30 minutes before kick.
So wait. So the basketball arena is the final game in that arena, the one your dad played in. They're moving into a new arena?
Yep. Last game ever. My dad is coming. I'm very excited. I think I might interview him at the half. So that'll be a really sweet moment. But it's very full circle because it's where I had my first sideline game. Obviously, I wouldn't be here if it were not for Hanner Fieldhouse because my parents would not have met here at Georgia Southern.
Great point.
EG. I mean, EG's gonna do one of those Tom Rinaldi pieces on this deal.
Hey, by the way, EG, I do have a play on Georgia Southern Coastal Carolina today.
Ooh, tell me.
Yeah. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Sounds good.
You can't tip his hand here on the show.
I apologize. Go Eagles. Yeah. This is Paulson. You guys seen this before?
Yeah, I've never seen it from that angle before. It looks really more impressive on television, but it is a beautiful place.
Not everybody can have Kennesaw State's massive,
cute little stadium.
The prettiest stadium in America, as it's been done by Coach Irk Russell up there.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I used to love Irk.
Yeah, I did too. All right, but EG, when you are finished there, what is a cool moment for you and your family and your great university there in Statesboro? You're going to hit the road hot and get to Auburn tonight. What do you expect? I mean, this is Auburn's final home game of the year. Finally, a meaningful night game at Jordan Hare, which is always fun.
Yeah, I think you said it best. It's finally a meaningful night game. And Auburn's in the business of ruining some people's seasons, and they have an opportunity to do that this weekend against Texas A&M. I'm wanting to see that run game really explode again, like we saw a few games ago for Auburn with Jarquez Hunter. I'm still a little uncertain about Peyton Thorne, but Cam Coleman, guys, he had, I don't want to say it was a breakout game last week, but he was utilized so much more. I want to see that happen again, and I think the environment is going to be incredible. I'm super excited to get there. There's nothing like a night game in Jordan-Hare, especially, Brown, you said it, when it's the meaningful air about it. Auburn fans are faithful, and they're going to show up and show out tonight.
Yeah, it's all about the defense tonight for me, EG, for Auburn. Can they slow down Marcel Reed's running, something LSU could not do in that game that LSU needed to win? Do you think Auburn's defense is up to the task tonight?
I do. I think that we've talked about it before in these pregame shows, that is what's kept Auburn in these games week in and week out is their defense. I think that's a really strong point for them. If they can play to their standard, I think that they'll be able to contain him.
Yeah, and I think no Le'Veon Moss. I think this is big. Amari Daniels takes over. This will be the first SEC game without Le'Veon. And you look at this Auburn defense, especially in the red zone, 8th nationally red zone defense. I think that could be the difference. This number has dropped to Texas A&M only 1.5. I've got a feeling this thing drops to a pick before kick.
Yeah, that's a big move. Go ahead, EG.
No, I would say I love it. I think that it's exciting. These are the games that you want in November this time of year.
No doubt. All right, so post-game, you'll get all of EG's reaction, little T down there as well, at Next Round Live, on social media. And also EG will jump on with the Barn Auburn guys, thebarnauburn.com for all your Auburn coverage. Join for $1 for the first month for the message board and the website. They've got great original programming on the Barn Auburn YouTube channel as well, thebarnauburn.com, CEG, after the game from Jordan-Hare. It's a really cool day for you, EG. I'm glad you're getting to do this.
Thank you. I'm really excited. You guys can tune in at, I guess, 11 a.m. for you guys, Central Time, to watch Georgia Southern take on West Georgia on ESPN+.
Be safe, EG.
Be safe. Have fun, EG. Thank you. All right, there's Emily Grace joining us from down in Statesboro, Georgia. Cool day for her. So that is Texas Auburn. You guys gave your thoughts. So Lance, I had it. It's dropped even more since this morning. So when I wrote the lines down here on my little sheet, my bookie still had it at 2. I thought that was something, but you've seen it as low as 1.5, and think it may drop all the way down to a pick 'em.
Yeah, I think this team is going to steam to a pick. I think you're going to see a lot of smart gamblers get all over Auburn.
Do you think it's because
if I could only play one game tonight,
it would be that one? It would be Auburn?
Yes. If I could only play one game today, it would be that one.
Yeah, Peyton Thorne played through the shoulder pain last week. Cam Coleman, as she said, got 8 catches, targeted more than that. Keandre Lambert has been Keandre Lambert-Smith's been just consistent all year long. It does seem like they have some advantages in this game, but to me, it comes back down 10. As I said, can they take Texas A&M's offense out of their comfort zone? And will we see a quarterback switch again for A&M? You know, sometimes you prepare for that running quarterback and then they flip back to Wegman and he throws the football. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their 2 quarterback system with the Aggies.
Look, and you guys know I'm a Mike Elko fan. I think he's done a great job. And, you know, if A&M was to win this game, it makes, you know, next weekend even that much bigger in College Station. I just think it's a really good spot for Auburn. I think the crowd will have a massive factor. But, you know, it's one of those where Auburn does need – that offense needs to be clicking a little bit in the first half, just where it doesn't put the crowd to sleep.
Yeah. By the way, I just checked as we were talking. It did drop to 1.5 at MyBookie.ag. So you would say, Lance, if you like Auburn, get on it now because it's only going down from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, you basically can get right now plus 102 on a money line. You don't have to play juice. I really don't think it matters.
Yeah. Very confident. Let's go to Norman, Oklahoma, Dunaway. I don't think you're as confident about the Crimson Tide in Norman. You like them to win the game, right? But this morning, that line ticked back up to 14. Alabama, a 2-touchdown favorite in Norman. 46.5 is the total. 6:30 ABC primetime game with Fowler, Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, and the crew. You like Bama to win, don't you? You just don't know that it'll be by 14.
I mean, Alabama could win by 40. I'm just making a point that it's a road SEC game. And this year, going into the year, you'd say any road game in the SEC is tough except for Vanderbilt. And what happened at Vanderbilt? Well, you lost that game. So the helter-skelter nature of where this offense has been and not been at one point this year it always makes me scared going up against a quality defensive mind like Brent Venables. You're on the road at night in the SEC. I just don't think they give out, easy wins on the road at night in the SEC, no matter where you play. So I'm going to have a little concern here, because this is it's a playoff elimination game for Alabama if they lose it. A win here sets up a home Iron Bowl game at 2:30 to punch a ticket to Atlanta or the college football playoffs. This is, to me, about the last place you can mess up the season if you're Kalen DeBoer and company. So I'm nervous. Absolutely.
It would be a massive upset, just the way these teams are playing right now. Now, look, if Jalen Milroe goes back into a shell and plays like he did in Knoxville, and they turn the football over, Oklahoma can win this game. I don't think Oklahoma's offensive line can hold up, and I think Alabama is playing their best football. I mean, since Tennessee lost, they've outscored opponents 128-20, and I think that's been the key. The defense has been outstanding, and now they're all the way up to 10th nationally in scoring defense, giving up less than 17 points per game. We know this offense scores right at 40 points per game. It looks too easy to me, and that's one of the reasons I stayed away from it.
Yeah. Let me ask you the question though. Is there I'll use the committee's rule. Is there a game control margin in this one, a margin of victory in this one that could hurt Alabama, that they win the game, but if they have to come back and win it late by a point or two, is there a way that hurts them in their college football playoff pursuit, or is it all about just making it to Atlanta, Brown?
I think it's just about winning 2 games, whether they get to Atlanta or not. My gut tells me 2 1-point wins gets them in the college football playoff, even if they don't go to Atlanta.
Yeah,
that's what my gut would tell me.
I would agree. And this game opened back in the summer. Alabama was a 2-point favorite.
Are you serious? So it's up that much. I did, before we move on from these 2 teams, Lance, perhaps you've seen this. Somebody sent us this during the show yesterday. I think it was DraftKings or FanDuel, one of the two, had a look-ahead line to the Iron Bowl. What would you put on that right now? Let's assume Bama just wins and Auburn. Let's assume they both win.
I think if they both win, I think Alabama will be an 18.5-point favorite.
Well, this was 14.5. So
I think I saw it at MyBookie earlier today, Brown.
Let me check, Jim. I got that open right now that you mention it.
Yeah, I still do too.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Well, hey, if you've got some early lines for next weekend, let's talk about it real quick, because I think there's going to be some fluctuation based on things that will happen today.
Yeah.
In one of those games, I think important, Texas A&M, Texas.
Yeah, I don't have that.
I think that right now would be Texas 4, and I think it's going to go up to 6 if A&M loses.
Ooh, it feels like a bad spot for Texas right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got Tennessee, Vanderbilt next week. Tennessee's a 13.5-point favorite at Vandy.
That's a big number, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this one is an interesting number in ACC terms. Miami only a 10.5-point favorite at Syracuse. I mean, it's not a given right there, right?
Fran Brown, with the way Kyle McCord's playing right now, he's got that team playing good football.
Yeah.
Clemson a 2.5-point favorite against South Carolina.
Oof. That'll be an entertaining game. Speaking of Vandy, 2 more games here. Vandy is at LSU tonight. 8.5-point favorite, Dunaway. 53.5 is your total. 645 SEC Network for this game. Brian Kelly needs a win. I mean, this guy has had no wins in November. He's lost 2 games. He's lost the number 1 recruit in America. He's lost some of the fan base. Brian Kelly just needs a win right now.
Yeah, anything positive tonight. Yeah. And here comes Diego Pavia. Does he have one more giant killer victory in him in a Vanderbilt uniform? It doesn't look like he's going to get that petition to keep playing at Vanderbilt or in the FBS. So it's under the lights on a Saturday night. You guys get on us for overhyping Jordan-Hare Stadium sometimes, but when Alabama at least is playing down there on a Saturday night, it has not been kryptonite for them. We'll see what Vandy can do. They haven't won there since, I believe, 1951 in Baton Rouge. I think I saw that.
You want your 3-team teaser today, Dunaway?
Oh, sure. Look out.
LSU plus a half, Missouri plus a half, and Ohio State minus a half. Does that sound appealing?
Yeah. It does, doesn't it?
No, I think it does.
I don't trust LSU. I mean, Indiana's been an incredible story. I'm pulling hard for them, but if they were to go on the road and to beat Ohio State, that seems like a tall task. I do not see Missouri losing in Starkville. So it comes down to, and the way I mean, LSU has kicked a black cat. They've walked under ladders. They broke them. I mean, it's been a bad November for LSU. So I'd have to find something else in there outside of that. Maybe I think you like Penn State. You get Penn State -1.
Yeah, I do like Penn State. I'll be cheering against them though. I don't like to do bets where I'm cheering against the team.
All right, one more game. Before we do that, a reminder, the show presented by Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. johnstonrvcenter.com. Everything they sell you right there is covered by a lifetime warranty if it is new or qualifying pre-owned lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. It is Johnston RV Center, johnstonrvcenter.com. And Dunaway, Champy's world famous fried chicken.
That's right. All the great sides. It's not just about the fried chicken. They got the hand-cut chicken fingers and the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales that are so easy to take to a tailgate. But also, if you love a good po' boy, they've got that there as well. They've got chicken on a stick. They've got great appetizers like a Kaneka sausage, cheese, and pickle plate. Great way to start things off. It's just a great place and a great bar scene as well on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night happy hour. Go by there. It's Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
All right, Lance, this one is near and dear to your heart. The Victory Bell will be on the line late night tonight, 9:30 NBC game, where USC is at the Rose Bowl, a 4.5-point favorite, total of 51.5. How you feeling about your Trojans?
Well, so they benched Miller Moss. Jaden Maeva got the start last week against Nebraska, and boy, he was, first couple of drives looked shaky, and then he came on and started playing pretty good football. I lean USC wins the game. Do they cover the 4.5? I'm not sure. This UCLA team has done a pretty good job against the number and of scratching and clawing and really fighting for Deshaun Foster. Woody Marks, I think he will be the difference in this game. You guys remember the Mississippi State transfer. He's been really good, man. He is a solid running back for USC. And I just think USC is much more talented, but, it'll be a fun game, standalone 9:30. Really excited about late night game.
Yeah, me too. You guys know this because we've been together 15 years. The sports gear I have the most of, even more than Alabama, because I don't wear a lot of Alabama or Auburn gear around. I've got, for some reason, a lot of UCLA gear. I got 4 or 5 shirts, a couple of hats, and so I'll put on UCLA gear tonight and cheer against LT's Trojans just in our personal rivalry game here of USC UCLA.
There is no way you have Auburn gear.
I'll tell you, the Barn shirt we have for the barnauburn.com, that is a good looking shirt. I do have an Auburn golf shirt and an Auburn t-shirt. Yeah.
Wow.
James Sr. would burn you at the stake.
He'd just shake his head, son.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be like showing up with the star and the sickle back in the 80s.
Yeah. With him, it was like the first time he saw me smoke a filtered cigarette.
All right.
Yeah, or drink a light beer.
Lance, you got a show coming up right there. Win at Lance's Lock on YouTube and lanceslock.com, right?
Yeah, we're going to jump on. I've got 3 games that I scratched really late last night, and so I'll give you guys those games. They probably go 3-0, and I hope they do. But, we'll talk a little bit about Week 13, the card. Probably do a good 15 quick minutes and jump off.
All right, and it's we are still in the formative stages here, but there are discussions backed by popular demand late night after the Victory Bell, a little after dark. We may come back and talk about the games. Just stay tuned, set your alerts so you know when we're live. Watch us on social media. Still in the discussion stage, but we may be back with you tonight.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be after USC UCLA. I thought maybe it'd be after Alabama Auburn.
Late night. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's just discussion stage. That's what happens when you're in discussion stage, Dunaway. Just discussion stage.
Did you guys get up early enough to see the frost on the windshield?
I did not. No, I happened to miss that.
I try not to. Now that they close Fresh Market, I try not to leave the house on Saturday, and I've done a pretty good job. Well, I think I'm on a month straight where I haven't put shoes on a Saturday.
Yeah, my loving son is home for Thanksgiving break, and one thing he and I love to do, and Maggie came with us today, is jump out for breakfast. So because of this show, we had to leave, at 6:55, 7 o'clock to get to breakfast and back. So when I went out there to crank the old truck, frost on the windshield.
Oof, it's winter, my man.
Yeah, I like it 98 and hot.
All right, we'll see you tonight, maybe. Lance is back live at Lance's Lock in just mere moments. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Johnston RV Center and Champy's world famous fried chicken. Have a great college football.